If my memory is right, I think we are now just about ready to talk about nuisance. What is a nuisance? It is anything, any act, condition, business, establishment, which, number one, injures or threatens the health or safety of others. Okay, number two, annoys or offends the senses. Number three, shocks, defies, or disregards decency or morality. Or, number four, obstructs or interferes with the free passage of any public street or body of water. Or, number five, hinders or impairs the use of property. Noise can obviously be a nuisance. A thing which offends or annoys the senses is categorically a nuisance. A huge billboard which portrays a naked woman in all her glory may be something which would qualify as a nuisance, something which defies, disregards decency or morality. A house of prostitution obviously would fall under that category. You remember that when it comes to noise as a nuisance, obviously noise is something which will irritate most people. In determining, however, whether a particular noise would justify the award of damages to a property owner who happens to reside in the vicinity, you remember that the test is not whether that kind of noise will irritate a person of rather sensitive nature. You know, we have varying shall we say, levels of tolerance insofar as noise is concerned. Some people are quite sensitive so that they get very easily irritated by any and all kinds of noise. But you know, as pointed out by the Supreme Court, we have to pay for certain things if we have to live in communities, especially urban communities. In other words, if you reside in Manila, there is bound to be a certain amount of noise. That's part of what you have to pay for living in an urban community like Manila. You remember that case of Velasco versus Manila Electric Company. What happened there? There was a certain doctor, Dr. Velasco. He was constantly irritated by a certain kind of noise emanating from a Meralco substation, which happened to be located near his property. And so he sued for damages. The court said, in determining whether there is justification, there is basis for the award of damages, what we should consider would be the standard based on an ordinary person of ordinary sensibilities. Not what would be irritating to somebody who is very sensitive. Because, as I mentioned a while ago, noise is something which we have to really accept as a part of daily living in an urban setting. At any rate, in that case, studies were conducted and even experts were consulted. And it was established that the amount of noise emanating from that Meralco substation was really higher than the ambient noise in that neighborhood. It justified the award of damages to Dr. Velasco. And in connection with that case, I just want to remind you that it was also in that case where the Supreme Court said, in case there is an extraordinary inflation or deflation of the currency stipulated, the value of the currency at the time of the constitution of the obligation shall be used as the basis for fixing the amount to be paid. That provision cannot be used if the obligation does not arise from contract. Why? Because the provision itself says currency is stipulated. So if your obligation arises not because of contract, but as in the case of Velasco, because of a quasi-delict, there is no basis for applying that provision. In other words, you cannot ask for the adjustment of the award of damages even assuming that it took so many years before the case could be finally decided by the court. Kasi you apply that provision only kung there is a currency stipulated. And you can only have, obviously, a currency stipulated if there is a contract between the parties. If you construct a part of your house encroaches upon a public street, that's a nuisance because it obstructs the free passage of that public street. A nuisance may either be a public nuisance or a private nuisance. When would it be public? When would it be private? it would be public, it affects either the entire community or a considerable number of persons. Upon the other hand, the nuisance would be considered merely as a private nuisance if it does not affect the public at large or it does not affect a considerable number of persons. Likewise, in connection with the law on nuisance, you remember the doctrine of attractive nuisance. What is that doctrine all about? Simply stated, if you are the owner of property and on that property you maintain a dangerous thing or equipment which is liable to attract children, kaya nga attractive nuisance, and you do not take necessary precautions to prevent children, especially those of tender years, from getting injured, you are liable for damages if a child is injured by your appliance or equipment, even if, technically speaking, the child is a trespasser. So let's say you have in your yard a huge industrial fan. Alam mo mga bata, pag binakitang umiikot-ikot yan, the tendency of children is, what? To touch. Kung may naputulan ng kamay, yung anak ng kapitbahay mo naputulan ng kamay because of that, you might be held liable under the doctrine of attractive nuisance, even if the child was technically a trespasser. In relation to this doctrine of attractive nuisance, however, you remember that it has been held in that case of Hidalgo Enterprises that a swimming pool is not an attractive nuisance. Why? Because a swimming pool, according to the ratio of that decision, is simply an imitation of nature. So, the owner would not be liable even if there are no guards on the premises. If a child of tender years should, for example, drown in the swimming pool, the owner of the swimming pool would not be liable. You also remember the classification between nuisance per se and nuisance per accidents. And nuisance per se is a nuisance which will be a nuisance under any and all circumstances. Kahit saan mo ilagay, nuisance yan. The usual example, of course, would be a house of prostitution. Pero kung halimbawa, it's a massage parlor, even conceding all of the evil connotations which come with massage parlors, or if it is a motel, it's merely a nuisance per accidents. It becomes a nuisance only depending on the location or the circumstances. A patis factory, for example, or a leather tanning factory. There was a time when, I don't know if it's still true up to now, but there was a town in Bulangan na maraming mga engaged in the leather tanning industry. There was a time na papasok ka pa lang noon, maamoy mo na yung talagang ibang amoy. So, that would be considered as merely a nuisance per accidents, not a nuisance per se. Mere lapse of time does not legalize any nuisance. It does not matter that that nuisance has been going on for many years. It does not become legal simply because it has existed for many, many years. You also remember the remedies available against a public nuisance as well as a private nuisance. Insofar as a public nuisance is concerned, you remember the remedies. First, there may be prosecution under the revised penal code. Second, there may be a civil action for damages. And third, there may be abatement without judicial proceedings. With respect to abatement without judicial proceedings, I just want to emphasize one very, very important point. That remedy, abatement without judicial proceedings, is available only if it is a nuisance per se. That cannot be availed of if it is merely a nuisance per accidents. For example, in one case, a local government unit, by means of resolution, I think, or an ordinance of the local Sanggunian, ordered the transfer of a gas station from its present location to somewhere else. Court said that cannot be done because abatement without judicial proceedings is permitted only if it is a nuisance per se, not when it is a nuisance per accidents. And obviously, we can all agree that a gasoline station is only and can only be a nuisance if it is situated in a place where it should not be. It is not a nuisance under any and all circumstances. It becomes a nuisance only when it is situated, for example, in a residential area, etc. Along the same vein, in another case, I think this happened in Lucena, the local government again tried to order the transfer of bus and jeepney terminal from its present location. Sabi ng court, that cannot be done without proper judicial hearing. Abatement without judicial proceedings is allowed only if it is a nuisance per se. In another case, the City of Manila tried to prohibit motels, mga bars, sauna and massage parlors, I think in the Ermita district. Again, sabi ng court, that cannot be done without proper hearing because abatement without judicial proceedings is available only in the case of a nuisance per se, not when it is merely a nuisance per accidents. Who takes charge of the abatement of a public nuisance? District Health Officer will make sure that one of the remedies available against the public nuisance are availed of. In the case of a civil action, that should be commenced by the local mayor, city or municipal mayor. A private individual, however, is permitted by law the right to file an action for the abatement or for damages based on a public nuisance if it is especially injurious to him. With respect to abatement of a public nuisance which is especially injurious to him, there are certain requisites which must be complied with. Of course, number one is there must first be a demand made upon the owner of the property or the lawful possessor of the property in which the nuisance exists. Number two, of course, the demand must have been rejected because if the demand was favorably acted upon by the property owner, there would be no need for any further action. The abatement must also be approved by the district health officer and it must be actually executed with the assistance of the local police. And fourth requisite, the value of the destruction must not exceed 3,000 pesos. Considering present prices and present values of properties, I doubt whether there is anything which would qualify for abatement under this provision. 3,000 pesos. Wala, I cannot think of anything which would cost only 3,000 pesos or less for purposes of abatement by a private individual. All right.